Hey YouTube, it's Taki with TaqiTech. Okay, so now we are going to talk about this function I created to pass back a hair color and what we used inside that function. So as you can see here, when we go through our do loop iteration that we talked about in the last video, and we get to that specific cell, and we want to put the name of a hair color in it, then we call this function called hair color that I made, and it returns a value to us of whatever color, random color we have for that particular cell. And what we used to determine what our hair color is we did a rand between function that we created way back. So if we go look in our module here, we look in the random module, we see that we made it and rand between function, or so it's, I really don't like, I'm not sure if I named this. I know I didn't give it lower bound, upper bound. I wouldn't do that. Actually, I'm going to change those variables now, and they're not even in camel case, so I know it must have been something that I borrowed and I'm going to improve upon now. Lowest, no, and then we're just gonna change this one here. I should have just highest. And then we return, this is a function, so it's returning a value as an integer. So it should be a whole number. It's not a double. It's not a long. It's not a decimal point. Put it like that. Double, a float or a double. So it's just returning a whole number. And then here we even wrap it. We even cast it into an integer when we do our calculations. And I need to, because I went in and started messing with the code, now I need to change these as well. So I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change, okay, hold on, what am I doing here? Okay, upper bound needs to be highest number, and let's do lowest number for lower bound. And I'm not going to even try to explain the math, as we talked about in the last video. That's not my strength, unfortunately. When we got to geometry and they said 2 plus 2 equals 4, prove it, I said nah. I didn't realize it would lead to such bigger and better things. If only I could go back in time and make myself understand. Alright, oh, and here, this will tell you where I got this from. That's kind of what I do sometimes, is I put the links up there. Okay, cool. So that's talking about our random our random function. Now we're going back to our get data module. By the way, that's becoming just humongous here, and we need to figure out what we want to keep in this module. We need to move to a different module. And basically, whenever you have a module, you want to have light subroutines and functions, or basically maybe a names class, and that's probably the better way of thinking about it. If you've used different programming languages and use classes, where classes have methods and values, and basically you look at the subroutines and functions as methods, and you look at the module level variables, or even the project level variables, as values. That might be something more appropriate that we'll talk about for this project, that we'll talk about in future videos. But right now, let's focus in on this function, hair color. So I didn't think about white and gray. I'm going to add them on now. But what we're using is a select case statement. And a select case statement is kind of like an if statement. The only thing is that instead of having 20 if else's, if the color equals 1, then do this. Else, if color, no, we're just going to say basically select case and select. It's just kind of like an if and if, and we're able to put in a whole bunch of different conditions here. So I'm going to add in a couple more here. I'm going to add white and gray. And I'm just going to change this to 5. And we're going to say gray. Let's do one more. Now, this one, these particular cases, I'm putting exit function. And that's a term that we may not have talked about before. And basically what that says is leave this routine or leave this function immediately. There's no need to execute any other code. And sometimes you're going to need that in your select case statements. Otherwise, if it keeps going down and it evaluates to true somewhere else, you're going to get that instead. Or it might come out in case else. We'll talk about that more in a different video. Here I just want to stay on task here. So now we have basically 6 cases here, and then we're going to say if somehow a 7 gets passed in, which this should never happen because we are absolutely controlling the random number that we're passing in here, then we're going to say the hair color is black. We unselect. It's going to go through everything after we return the value. In VBA, it's not like other languages where if you return the value, you exit the function immediately. You actually need to explicitly say exit the function, otherwise it keeps running through that too. So I'm going to change this. Now we have 6. Okay. I think I did 5 before on purpose, just because I wanted to give extra. I just wanted to increase the chances of getting black back. So I had black in there twice. Okay, so let's save this real quick. And there we go. So that's our select case statement. And now we're going to have white and gray is available as well. So let's run this thing. So we'll go back here and we'll call this well, the first one was called hair SQL. Probably spelled SQL wrong. That's all good. Oh, I forgot to put a stop in. But here you can see here you got gray, brown, gray, red, red. So it's reading the new values. Let me put a stop in here. I'm going to stop it here just so that we could. So hair revenge. So we're stopping it here. We could see our iteration variable is equal to 0. Total number of names should be 5. We don't know what this ran between is going to be yet. Basically, we're saying give row 2, column 3, the next value. So I'm gonna hit F8 here. We're gonna drop down to our ran between. Our ran between returned a 6 because we told it give us a random number between 1 and 7. And here we go here. And here we go. White. This is going to be our first one. And we're going to increase that do loop again. So we went from 0 to 1. And it's going to keep on running until we have 5. And if we take a look here, let me just do this real quick. Okay, so there was an issue here because I didn't hit stop and I didn't reset the column count. So if you're running this project and you're running into this problem, that is what's occurring here when you see that. So I'm going to go back to the project here. We're going to hit stop. I'm actually going to go quickly up to our main method, so to speak. We call get hair color, and we're going to say column count equals 0. And that might already have been there for you, and I didn't really talk about calling the function get hair color, and it's something I forgot in the previous video. But this video is going to start getting long. I don't want to make that digression. So let's run this again. Let me make sure the project is actually stopped this time. Okay. And let's go here. So here's revenge was messed up. Return of the hair. Okay. So now we're going to jump into first off the rand function to get a random number between 1 and 7. And what we got back was 5. So we're going to jump down here, we're going to get gray. We're going to increase that loop statement again. Hit F. Now we're going to do this until it equals 5. And everything should look right here now. And it does. So we got our gray in that second row, third column. Now it's brown. Hit play again. Alright. So now it's gray again. And now I'm just going to take my stop off. Oh, I actually stopped the project. Well, that's good enough. So you guys got the point. If you like this video, if you like the information you're getting, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you like the content on this channel, make sure you subscribe. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions or anything, make sure you leave them in the comments. And thank you for watching. Until next time, take it easy.